Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. The blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man is back on social media, signing back in and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Listen, this is a war. I've already said it. In order to fight back, you must do two things. The first one is probably two by itself, but anyway, know that it's a war, but don't let them know you know it's a war. That's number one. You could say it's number one and two. I don't care. The next one is that you simply fight back with standards. Now, what they've done in this war is they've come to you with standards you must meet, and then they don't meet standards. They've got you on the defensive thinking, I might not be able to meet the standards in order to be with any of them. And that's really simply not because men don't meet the standards. It's really because most women would rather trick most men into not meeting the standards anyway. They'd rather trick you into always trying to meet the standards so that they have you as a utility when they don't ever want to screw you at all. Don't even want to sexually validate you. They wouldn't even compliment your ding-a-ling to another woman that's attractive to get her onto you. They would never do it. That's who they are. They are all in agreement about denying 87% of us, in the West at least, any sort of satisfactory heterosexual encounters, so as to keep you on, to keep you trying to meet standards. When you realize that they are the ones that tricked you into not meeting them anyway, and that they only had the standards for these purposes, and for purposes of ego, then you understand, wait a minute, why am I an adult trying to impress a child? I'm not a pedophile, because most of us are not. That's a rare condition for adults to have. Very rare. Most of us aren't that. So what they've done is they've tried to trick you into something like that. So this is what you do. You come up with standards that match hers. Now, if she says you got to be taller, it doesn't really make sense when you say, no, you have to be taller. Or it can. You can say that. Now, of course, that just means the two of you ain't going to be together. But let's say you're not trying to eliminate every single woman from the runnings. You're just trying to eliminate the stupid ones. You're still going to eliminate 90% or more of them. But understand this. What I mean, though, is that she can say, okay, you got to be taller. Fair enough. All right, fine. I got to be taller. You must always weigh less than me. Better yet, you must always weigh less than I do now when we meet. So, if I gain weight as we get older, you might too, but you better never gain the same, you better never match the weight that I was when we met. Something like that. You have to be stronger than her. Fair enough, you're the guy. Okay, you know what? That's fine. But you must also have some way that you keep it tight. You keep my nuts drained and my stomach full. What I'm saying is that you got to have a standard for every standard they have for you. Every single one. Now, when it comes to standards that can be mutually met, you make those the same thing. You can't have any fears, insecurities, and doubts. Fine. Neither can she. You can't have even reasonable concerns that she could mistake for fears, insecurities, or doubts. Fine. Neither can she either. You've now retaliated with standards. And you don't do this with the ones that are too old for you anyway. You do this with the ones who are in the age group that you're okay with. Now it's up to you how old is too old. That's completely up to you. I don't need them to be young, but most of you do. Fine. When they're young enough for you, you have these standards comparable to theirs as a retaliation. Because remember, it's a war. In the West, they know all the laws. All of them. And they wouldn't even entertain you without knowing these laws, unless, of course, you're in the lust lane. I mean, hell, if you're in the lust lane, you don't even have to raise your own offspring as far as they're concerned. I'm sure they would like it if you did, but you don't have to. They got other guys for that. But if you're not in the lust lane, you're probably not even in the boyfriend lane, really. You're just passed off as a boyfriend because you're in the lick lane. That's what that means. The boyfriend lane, as C Boogie referred to, is not really that they actually like you like they like the guy in the lust lane. It just means that you qualify to be a long-term lick, and they'll show you some respect in exchange. They won't just be outright disrespectful most of the time. That's really what it is. Hey, you're lust or lick. Some guys are both. Some guys are neither. I'd rather be neither than to be a lick, period. And I hope you would too. It's better to be invisible to them than to be a lick only. So, truth be told, you're doing this to retaliate. Now they're doing this on the offense. You're simply doing this as a retaliation or a defense. You're really just doing it so that their offense against you does not ruin and break you. That's really what you're doing. But one of the things that they're going to do is they're going to always have these financial requirements. And this is where you come in and you say, okay, well, if I got to meet financial requirements you don't have to meet, i.e. I got to be better off than you, then you have to be better at saving money than me. Now you flip it. Okay, I got to make more. You've got to save me money. Now, how is me being with you going to save what I do make? It's not. Then that right there. And the most important standard of all that you must have is one that's already necessary, but you need to understand it so you can state it up front. She cannot be hypergamous and feminist at the same time. Period. If you got to be taller than her, wealthier than her, older than her, stronger than her, smarter than her, she better not be a feminist in the least bit. Soon as she shows that she's trying to bring both, she's gone. That must be necessary. That's the main one. That is the first standard of retaliation in this war. You can call it a standard-based, a retaliatory standard or a self-defense standard. Whichever one you want to call it, it is going to be the first one that you need. That's one you must have by definition. The other ones can be mirrors of hers, but that one must be there by definition. You don't have an option when it comes to that, because the two are mutually exclusive anyway. They're not sustainable together. How dare she even come to you with that mess? What is she bringing to you that can justify that? You have to pay the cost for her to be the boss. Now, I mean, I don't even know what they're bringing for that. In order for someone to come to me with a deal like that, she'd have to have the keys to heaven. And I can tell you a human being does not have that. No. She'd have to come to me and say, look, all your bad deeds, I'm going to answer for them on Judgment Day. And all my good deeds are yours on Judgment Day. Then I might consider something like that. Now, who would ever make who would even make that kind of offer? You can't make it. You can't come to me with hypergamy and feminism at the same time. Shuck that fit, father mucker. Fit the guck out my face with that sure bit. And no, I didn't cuss. The reason I have to record this is not any fun for me, but it is because, as I've said before, it's war. It is not a game. It is a war with a bunch of war games in it. So, fight to win. Give them hell 54th. Black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to some of you. And black heterosexual thinking male power